Welcome to 561 Music. My name's Ben.
And I'm Hector.
How are you, Hector?
I'm a little under the weather. I'm fighting a cold, but I'm doing my best to get better by Saturday, because Saturday we're having our super amazing festival.
It's very exciting. It's incredibly exciting. And I appreciate you coming, even though you're not feeling 100%, buddy.
Oh, man. I definitely sucked a little life out of me today, but that's fine. I'm here. We're going to do this thing. We're going to have some fun.
Yeah, we
got a good guest today, and we're going to have an amazing festival Saturday. We have Spread the Dubs, Sierra Lane, Sons of a Tradesman, No Name Ska Band, Bryce Allen Band, Victoria Lee, Joey Caldereo, BFD, The Shake, Jake Walden Band, Sandman Sleeps, Fall Victim, Jacob Tacos, Josh Miles, Dominic Delaney, Ben Childs, Alyssa Kuhn, Fox Maple, and Paper Carcass. And we have two stages. We have a main stage and an acoustic stage. Yeah, man, it's gonna be pretty amazing. It's $10.
Yep.
You can get your tickets online. If you do a combo ticket right now, you can get a ticket and a shirt for $25, and that'll save you a few bucks, because at the festival it'll be $10 to get in and $25 for the shirt. So save some money and do the combo ticket up front. Also, there will be tickets available at the door, but we are only accepting cash at the door. So do yourself a favor and get the tickets online. It'll just be easier for everyone involved.
Absolutely. And, it's nice for us because we don't have to freak out quite so much in terms of is that people going to show up to this thing. So but I'm really looking forward to it. One of the good things about the way we did it is you can't miss anyone, because there's two stages but in the same spot, so we're just going back and forth in the same room, so there's going to be constant music the entire day. And it's just like kind of reggae sound systems type situation, like a versus situation. You got one band on, and then as soon as they stop, the other band comes on, back and forth like that.
Yeah, I saw somebody commented on one of our posts today, and was upset, not upset, but they were hoping that they were going to catch two different bands that looked like they were playing at real close to same start times. And I had to make it clear to them that we're alternating the stages back and forth. So if you're there to see multiple bands, this is not like some of those other festivals where you have 17 stages and there's 14 bands playing at the same time. You will literally have one band playing at any one time. So if you're there to see 10 bands, you can see all 10 bands. If you're there to see 20 bands, you can see all 20 bands.
Yeah, but by the same token, if there's someone you really want to watch, make sure you get there promptly, because the sets for nearly everyone are half an hour. So, blink and you'll miss it. You got to get down for the bands that you want to support. I mean, ideally you'd come and support everyone, but if there's someone you desperately want to see, then try and get down, for the beginning of their set, because it's like half-hour sets. The last 2 or 3 bands have longer sets, but everyone else has a half-hour set.
Yeah, for sure. So, make sure you get down there. And thank you very much to all our sponsors, our banner sponsor, Backsaver LLC, Harmony Management Group.
Big up Mary.
Yep. Our in-kind sponsors, Live Music Community, and Easy Tees for supplying our T-shirts. And, it's going to be fun.
And also thanks, James, for coming and helping with the sound.
Absolutely.
And all the volunteers.
And all the volunteers, they're going to be there. Every single one of you guys, you're making this possible. Those that don't know, and we've said this to a few people already, this isn't... yes, we have a few sponsors, et cetera, and it's helping defray some of the costs, but this isn't something that's a big moneymaker or anything like that for us. Ben and I are basically doing this out of pocket. The sponsors and stuff are helping defray some of the costs, but anything that's left over, and there's a considerable amount left over, Ben and I are coming out of pocket for this, and so we're not doing this to make money. We're doing this truly for the same reason we do the podcast, because we love music.
Yep.
We love original music, and we want to support the local original music community. So, please help us out by coming and showing up and buying a ticket and helping us defray those costs, and helping us to be able to continue to do these kinds of things, because we love doing it.
Yeah.
We love doing it for the community. We love doing it for the artists. Hopefully everybody enjoys these kinds of things, and we can continue to do it. So
yeah, I can't wait. I mean, pretty much all of my friends at this point are musicians, and all of the people playing, are my friends, so it's going to be great. I'm just going to be in a big group of my friends. I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun.
It's going to be really fun.
Yeah. So we have Mr. Mike Locke with us today.
Hey
DJ
there.
Mike Locke. How's it going, dude?
Good. Hey, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on, man. Yeah, so we first met years ago playing punk shows and propaganda, didn't we?
Yeah, probably propaganda, punk rock.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure at some point it was we shared a bill over there. I mean, that place is an institution, right?
Absolutely.
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah, Matt. You know, one of the good things about No Name Scar Band was that Matt was in it, so we got to play cool shows all the time of propaganda.
Yeah.
We were very lucky with that. But yeah, that was one of my favorite sort of bands from around here, Octo Gatto. You guys were dope. It was amazing.
I always appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, man. So now you're playing house music.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a leap, isn't it?
Well, I tell you
How'd
what,
that happen?
it's fantastic, and you know, I love your original tunes. They're badass, and I guess the first question that we ask everyone when they come on the podcast is, why did you start? How did you get into music right at the beginning of all of this? Like, did your parents musical? Like, how did it all happen?
Not really. No, my parents were musical. I mean, they were always they shared music with me as a kid. And I was always around good music. First music was probably like Michael Jackson or something like that.
Okay.
But when I came into my own, I realized there's like all this great heavy music out there, and then I saw Metallica, and as a kid I was like, whoa, I want to be James Hetfield.
Okay.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to play rhythm guitar that's like super heavy and be that guy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and just wanting to like learn how to play guitar and learn how to play those Metallica songs. That's what got me into playing.
How old were you when you picked up a guitar?
I picked it up or actually learned how to play it. Two different things, right? Yeah. I feel like I got my first guitar when I was maybe, I don't know, 10 or so.
Okay.
Took a little bit of lessons, for a year or two. Got frustrated and then picked it up a few years later.
Gotcha.
Then put it down again.
Well, that's cool. So it wasn't really like a lot of people who come on here, they sort of, they have very musical families, and that's sort of how they ended up doing it. But this is just more like your own sort of like thrust of a thing, I guess.
I don't know. I mean, my grandmother is, a pianist, and she's into choral stuff with her church, and my mother's an artist.
Oh, really?
Visual artist.
Oh,
and
cool.
was an art teacher and an artist for many years as well, too, still is.
Yeah.
So maybe that's where the creativity comes from.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
I'm not sure.
That's really interesting. Yeah. In terms, outside of Metallica, do you have any other like early influences in terms of music and bands?
I mean, for me in the beginning was all that heavy stuff, that heavy grunge stuff from that mid '90s, like Alice in Chains and all of that kind of stuff is what got me into playing. Nirvana, of course.
Yeah.
And then later on, I discovered punk, and that was when it changed. It's like,
okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It just kind of clicked.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah,
yeah, I think it's quite interesting that you and I have almost reverse musical paths.
Yeah.
In that, when I was a teenager going into my early 20s, all I cared about was dance music and electronic music. It was just like a religion to me. I was just used to. So it started off being like Warp Records and Aphex Twin and everything. I was listening to all that kind of thing when I was like 14, 15. And then it gradually became drum and bass, because like by the time I was 17, 18, that's all anyone cared about in England pretty much.
Of course, yeah. That's it. You had to, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And I had my Technics and everything, and learned how to mix jungle and drum and bass, and I was obsessed with it and for years and years. And then out of the back of that, ended up joining a punk band and trying to infuse some of that into the punk band, which is why if you listen back to some of the early Sonic Boom 6 stuff, there's like amen breaks all over it and everything, because I was coming from like a drum and bass sort of perspective.
Yeah, it makes sense to put it in there, right? Just why not throw one of those in there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you started with the guitar, and then you went into playing as a DJ. Would you say that any of your knowledge that you gleaned as a rock musician has informed your DJing?
Oh, I think so. Absolutely. I mean, everything really. I mean,
Sure.
I came into it. That was my background for many, many years, playing in bands, touring in bands, and you can't just delete that from it's just like it's all over it.
Yeah.
Even if I wanted to dial it out, I probably couldn't. So that approach.
Yeah, that's cool. So, let's talk a little bit about some of the bands you were in before you kind of switched over to the electronic music side. Was Octo Gatto your kind of first? How many projects have you had before that?
Oh, a dozen.
Right. Okay. Tell us a little bit about
that was the one that brought us that allowed us to meet. But I mean, I played in like heavy bands, like in that in between time, like I played in like new metal bands and played,
Okay.
Punk emo core bands.
Cool. Did you do any
Hardcore.
touring with those bands?
What's that?
Did you ever get out of town with those
Oh
bands?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I did some
Oh,
little tours.
sick.
Nothing really, not really intense, months of touring, but we always hit the road and did US stuff.
Okay,
with those
sick.
bands, go up
Yeah.
the East Coast, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
And then with Octo Gatto, you made it all the way to Japan, didn't you?
Yeah, we played there a few times. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a fun. That whole band is like a really fun concept. We were talking a little bit about it before, but could you sort of, what we were talking about with it just being a concept? Like,
Yes.
could you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that band was very much about. It's like, hey, let's just try this kind of fun thing. We said, hey, maybe let's do some garage rock, something like that. And we got everybody in the room, and we're like, well, we got 3 guitar players here. I'm like, well, I guess I can try and sing. And, the style it ended up being, which was that kind of rockabilly-inspired, B-52s-ish, Cramps type vocal, was just sort of what came out just naturally.
Right.
Almost immediately.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where it came from. I'm like, well, that seems like it works, and then we just stuck with that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So where did the image come from? Like the kind of like sea captain kind of lays and stuff. Was it just like, how could we make the most of being from Florida?
Yeah, for me, I mean, I always liked wearing Hawaiian shirts. I lived in Hawaii as a kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. I had no idea.
I try to kind of infuse that in the music as well, too, that tropical flavor.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it just, I don't know, it sort of felt right. It seemed like, well, I guess if I'm making this surfy music, somebody's got to be the captain here, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
Somebody's got to drive the boat.
Yeah. Yeah, I asked you to bring your hat.
Yes.
This is the Octo Gatto hat.
That's it. That's the official one. This one went around the States, went around the world. Real gross too. Look at that. But it's seen some continents and it's seen quite a few shows.
So did you guys go to Europe?
No, we didn't get to go to Europe, unfortunately. No, I wanted to.
What kind of touring did you do with Octo Gatto?
Mostly U.S.
Yeah.
and then Japan as well. So,
Oh, gotcha.
yeah.
How many times did you go to Japan?
3 times.
Oh, that's awesome.
First
Yeah.
time was like a solo thing. Then I kind of put those feelers out there, and then I brought the band out for 2 after that. Actually, no,
Okay.
I'm sorry, I take it back. The second time we went out there, we brought the band, and then the third time we were out there, our good buddy Marvin played bass. You know Marvin?
Oh, yeah.
Marvin
Hawkins.
Ray?
Yeah.
Mr.
Yeah, cool.
Mustache?
Yeah.
Oh, Marvin.
What's up,
He's
Marvin?
not out there. Is he out there? I hope he's out there.
He might be.
He should be.
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
actually a fan of the band, and then he ended up playing for the band.
Oh, cool.
And our buddy Tomo from a Japanese punkabilly band called the Cattlefish Fritter, he played on the last tour for us out there.
Oh, neat.
So Marvin flew in, and we rehearsed for an hour, and we went and played shows like that evening.
That's awesome.
It's crazy.
So we talked a little bit. I've talked with a few different people about Japan because I've been there too, and so I like to talk about it. But I'm curious, about like how did you manage to get to go out there? Like, how did you organize that? Who did you speak to? Is it through a label or?
That was no, it was actually I had a couple very helpful friends out there.
Right. How'd you make those? Just randomly, just happen to know these?
Oh, no, I lived in Japan for a little while.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I lived out there for a couple of years.
Right.
So, but the band came way after that. But I sort of called on some of those people. So I taught English when I was out there. That's kind of the way in. If you're a foreigner and you're not, if you don't
Sure.
speak Japanese,
It's
you go
teaching
teach
English in a
English in
foreign
Japan,
language
right?
thing, yeah.
So as long as it's your native language, so you get in there. And one of my students, I was like, this guy's a little different. All the students were kind of clean cut businessmen. And I see this guy like a cap on. He's got long hair. I'm like, this guy's different.
Something going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's my buddy Hiroshi.
Cool.
And he introduced me to a few other people out there, club owners, and yeah.
That's neat.
That was that connection.
Okay, yeah, I'm curious because I mean the way we did it is our manager at the time, he had another band on his roster that was involved with a label over there, and he managed to get our record licensed on the same label, and then
that's great.
we just went over and it was just through this label.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. We had a good time with it. But I'm always curious how people get these opportunities, and I think anyone listening to this, that's the kind of thing that they'll want to know. Is how did you make it happen? You know what I mean?
I think as long as you have one contact
Yeah.
in any country, somebody that's like a venue owner, a club owner, they know somebody, and that other person knows somebody. So you just start sending emails. The challenge with Japan is if you're trying to book it yourself, is that language barrier is pretty high.
Yeah.
I speak a little Japanese, but not enough to book a tour. So you Google Translate, all of those things.
Yeah, it's rough. That was the one thing I realized when I was there is that unlike, because I've done a lot of traveling in Europe and Eastern Europe and stuff, but there's always like slightly, you can always tell a little bit what's going on or kind of understand the signs a bit. In Japan, no. Just no idea what's going on at all.
It's getting easier though, because with Google Translate now, you can put your phone up to a sign.
Yeah.
If it's not like really crazy ornate lettering, it'll like sort of translate it for you.
Oh,
on the
that's
screen.
right. Yeah, that's
but it's
badass.
it's not. It translates maybe phonetically or something. It's not quite right.
They have 3 different alphabets, don't they?
Yeah,
They use the
hiragana,
China-
katakana, kanji,
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's it.
and romaji actually 4.
Oh, really?
Well, romaji is Roman characters, which is
Okay. Romaji makes sense.
Roman characters.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So, I suppose this is kind of like a 2-part question because I want to ask you about it where it relates to your writing with bands, but also when it comes to writing electronic music. And I imagine that the 2 answers will be a little bit different. Have you got a writing process?
Well, when it comes to like rock and roll, usually I would use like a loop pedal or something like that. I'll have an idea, just a riff kind of knocking around in my head, and just get it down with a really basic drum
Go with
beat.
a looper.
Yeah, just a looper, and then I'll put a lead or a melody over that, something like that.
Right.
As far as house
What about lyrically?
lyrics, well, I mean, Octogato was a whole different thing. That was just sort of just be as ridiculous as possible, as long as it's about the beach and about cats, Like that's topical,
Yeah.
That was kind of the theme of the whole band, was that kind of stuff. Hawaiian stuff. Oh, by the way, I forgot. I brought you guys a little Hawaiian peace offering.
Oh,
That's for you.
cool.
Put that on.
Thank you.
I can't reach him, so I'm going to have you...
Do we have to do?
Give me this.
Is there some kind of thank you that we need to?
No,
is it
just, you can do,
Hawaiian
we're not in Hawaii. I
That's
just wanted to bring a little Hawaiian hospitality with me
Hell
here today.
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about.
go.
This is what I was hoping. Here we go.
Yeah.
We got some Mike Locke flavor going on.
There we go.
there.
That's it, right? Ready to go.
I was just talking with somebody today about she's getting married in Hawaii, a friend of mine, in May of next year. So we're talking about going out to her wedding and stuff.
Oh, you should do
It'll
it.
be my first
You
time in
gotta go out
Hawaii,
there.
so
It's
yeah.
beautiful.
Oh, really? When's that?
May.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Ben's all freaking out now. When is that? We have
I know,
we
yeah,
have
really.
gigs. What are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you booking stuff?
Yeah, going to Hawaii, huh?
Yeah,
You
right.
think you're
you
going
think
to
you're
Hawaii.
going to Hawaii.
Make it work. You'll love it out there. So I lived in Kailua for I think 6 years when
Yeah.
I was younger. And that's on the island of Oahu, which is where, like Waikiki Beach and a lot of popular places are right out
Okay.
there.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I've got no idea about the place. I would love to go. Yeah, it's going to happen at some point for sure.
Quite a cool vibe.
Come with us. We'll do a gig there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's it.
Perfect.
Business expense, write it off.
Yeah.
Come on.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to the electronic stuff, what's your process with that?
For that one, it's sometimes if I'll hear a certain sound or something like that, it'll just be knocking around in my head. Then I'll try and find it on like a sample site, or I'll find something on YouTube, some weird quirky sample, and I'll build it around that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's I'll make a groove, just like an 8-bar loop or something like that, and I'll just have that going and just kind of slowly add things in. Sometimes I'll have a melody in my head, and I'll put the melody in, or I'll play it as a bass part or something on the keyboard.
Yeah.
Start with the bass, and then add everything in around there. Really, there's no. It just depends on the how I'm feeling at the moment.
Sure.
What I've been doing lately is I saw like an interview with Duke Dumont, the producer. Are you familiar with him?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Duke Dumont was talking about his I think a 3x30 method. He makes 3 little ideas every day, like 4-bar loop, 18-bar, 16, short. Like 15 minutes on each one.
Yeah.
Don't overthink it. Just get it down. Just get it done.
Yeah.
Put it in a folder. Forget about it, and go back to it 30 days later. Listen with fresh ears.
Oh,
I've been
that's
trying that this month.
smart.
Yeah.
That's really smart because the one thing that I get bogged down with when I'm making electronic music is I'll have an idea and I'll just start working it to death till I hate it.
Get stuck in the loop.
Yeah.
That's a common problem, especially with electronic music, because there's so much repetition
Yeah.
inherently in it. You get lost in that, and then you lose all objectivity.
Yeah, and you can't
Right.
figure out what's good repetition and what's bad.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
You lose objectivity. That's exactly right. So one of the things that the best advice that I've been given about making electronic music is, take away everything other than what is absolutely necessary. So I'll like build up a whole bunch of stuff and then I just start chiseling away at it, like removing anything that doesn't, that doesn't matter until like it's right down to which also kind of, it speaks to the fact that the things that you do have, you want to make sure that they're really good quality.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because
Yes.
like, it's easy to like layer up like 50 things that aren't particularly good sounds, you know, and then you're just lost in this big mess, you know?
Yeah, so sometimes you got to start deleting. Once you've added too much, like, all right, what is not serving this vibe? What's not serving this song? What's not serving this groove or whatever?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my brother makes techno and house, and you know, like that's his whole thing. You know, is just keep it simple. You know,
Yep.
yeah, as much as you can. And actually, he's learned that over time because his earlier tunes, because both he and I grew up so in the south of England, and at the time, like psychedelic trance was a really big deal. Right before the whole drum and bass thing it was all like psy trance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, you know, that's quite complicated, and especially at that time, melodic. It's gotten a lot more like techno now, but back in the day, it was like more melodic and stuff. And so it took years for him to weed the trance out of his tunes. You know, it's like just all of those kind of like whittly noise and the whooshes and kind of like like the stuttering and stuff like that. You know, he'd always put that in his tunes. And now he's finally kind of got to this point where he stopped doing that, and the music is much better for it.
Oh, it's good. Yeah. Sometimes you have to know what to get rid of for it to, you know, to evolve.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely, yeah.
So do you still practice the guitar at home?
Well, you know, I brought that one guitar in, you know, to show you, so, you know, but I have to be honest, it's been sitting on my wall. That one's, I probably haven't touched it in 6 months.
Right.
And I'm ashamed to say that.
Do you practice your DJing?
Not as much as I should, because I spend so much time doing it.
Oh yeah, no,
You know,
I mean most
playing-
people say that, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
That's the common answer here is everybody's doing it, so they're doing their craft, so they don't have time to actually practice it.
Exactly. I mean, but I should, you know. There's always something we can, you know, whether it's guitar playing or whether it's DJing, there's always something new you can learn, you know. So, yeah, I should be doing both, but when you're working, you know, when you're doing, you know, 4 or 5 gigs a week.
Is that where you're at with it, 4 or 5?
Yeah, last year I was. I'm trying to pump the brakes a little bit. It was like, that was a bit much, you know.
Okay.
I was trying to make up for 2020, you know, like the lack of gigs, so I felt like I needed to do everything I possibly could.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of us have done the same thing, is just kind of come back strong. I definitely panicked and then and started kind of preemptively booking a million things for when stuff opened. And then when stuff opened, I was just insanely busy.
Yes.
And I was like, oh no, what have I done? A little bit, you know.
I experienced the exact same thing. I'm like, well, I guess I can do this.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is humanly possible, yeah.
Yes.
Just.
Yeah.
So something which I'm curious about, because it's as someone who's sort of relatively recently, sort of a couple of years ago, stopped drinking, and it was a big change in my life. And so it's something I think about quite a lot, is how do you navigate the world of being a DJ, very late nights, and the booze and the drugs? Like, how do you manage to sort of, do you have any sort of tools in your toolbox, or like kind of techniques to sort of make sure that it doesn't become an issue?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've never had an issue being like, no, I'm good on that drink, I'm good on that. But I imagine, though, if, you know, for some people, it's hard to like say no to that, you know,
Sure.
because it's just there and it's free.
Sure.
And it's being pushed on you.
Yeah.
So it takes some willpower. For
And
sure,
I think
you know?
DJs, even more than rock musicians, you know, that can fall prey to it. I mean, I know a lot of my friends from when I was growing up, you know, who were DJs and things, have very healthy drug problems.
Yes.
Unhealthy drug problems, I should say.
I think the best thing to do is just don't do drugs at the gig. You know, you're there to work. You know, if you're DJing, you're there to work. Same if you're in a band, you're there to work.
I couldn't agree more.
They hired you, you know?
Yeah,
Sure.
totally. And so that's awesome. You managed to just keep that line like that. Yeah.
That being said, I mean, you know, beer or two is okay if you can, you know.
If you're capable of doing that, yeah.
I think the in-between advice is don't drink or do anything until at least halfway through the event.
Oh, there you go.
That's the in-between. 'Cause that way, you know, you're going to get through your set. There's not going to be any issue.
Yeah.
You have to imbibe, you know. But for me, I barely drink these days. I don't do drugs.
Yeah.
So it's easy to say no. That being said, you know, like you know, we had Miami Music Week last week, Ultra, all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, I'm not going to drink. You know, I'm good. I'll just drink water. You know, hang out, do some networking, and everybody's in town.
Yeah.
And you know, as soon as you get there, it's like, drink.
Yeah.
Drink?
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. And then you walk over to these guys. Hey, shot. We got a bottle. Shot. Yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah.
And then it's another one. Then your inhibitions are down, right?
Yeah.
So I think the best thing is to just, if you can't control yourself, just I'm good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, totally. I
hard.
agree. So I wanted to talk about Miami and Ultra and what what's it like as a DJ in terms of getting recognized and being competitive in terms of like the amount of DJs that there are, and how do you find it difficult to stand out in the crowd with all of that? Like, what's it like getting gigs around that time? Miami Music Week is difficult.
I mean, because it's just there's so much going on.
Yeah.
Even so like before the pandemic, 2019, played that Miami Music Week, and I played an event with some DJ producers that would normally probably have 1,000 people in front of them. Plus, they play festivals for 15,000, 20,000 people. We played at a reasonable club, and there's like less than 150 people there. Yeah, because everyone's in town. Yeah. So honestly, it's better to just go out there and network.
For sure.
It's fun to play, of course, but sometimes networking is the way to go in those big crazy events.
Yeah, I always remember that side of things being really awkward for me, like the whole kind of like, are you on the guest list and all that stuff. That side of dance music just does my head in. Yeah? It's like,
it feels bad?
Well, I'm just not very good at it. Like that kind of just aggressively socializing.
Aggressively. Nice to meet you.
Getting into, and getting in everywhere and all that stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I always found that tough. But is it something that comes naturally to you?
There's some people that were there. I'm not going to mention any names, but like that I look up to, and I froze up. I was like, I don't want to bother this guy right now. He's talking to these cute girls, or he's talking to this guy. Oh my God, that's that guy. Yeah. But then when it's but then sometimes with some people I don't have that barrier. I'm a pretty social, easy talking kind of guy most of the time. But sometimes you have these anybody if you it's like your idols or people you really. You have up there on that pedestal. That's harder.
Yeah,
just be like talk to this person like it's another human being, and we're all human beings, no matter what we do,
Yeah, no, it is, and I've talked about it before and here, and it's and everyone kind of knows that anyway. But it's that if there's someone that is very famous, you do kind of know them, so it is awkward because you do know a lot about their life and their personality, and they don't know anything about you.
Yeah, it's the imbalance, though. Maybe it's the imbalance that's odd. It feels weird. Because they don't know anything about me. I know everything about them.
Yeah, exactly.
I see this person on the internet every time I, flick on my feed. They don't know who I am, So that's the weird barrier. I think. Yeah, usually it's fine. I mean, just go around, talk to people, talk about yourself, be yourself,
Yeah, cool.
You got to be yourself wherever you are, and if they don't like you, then okay.
No, you're exactly right. And it's something I feel like I've been getting better at now. I've kind of removed this sort of like alcohol crutch that I had, I've actually learned how to just be a social human in the world.
Socializing post-alcohol.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It took me a minute to figure it out, but I think I'm getting there now.
Yeah.
It's kind of an odd side question, I guess. But like, do you find, and I know it's different, it's different in the art world, it's different in the music world, it's different, it's different in the different genres, our art, live bands versus EDM versus, everything's a little bit different. But do you find that trying to get, like you were talking about, some of these guys playing to these, 15, 20,000 people crowds, these huge arenas and things like that, do you find that these guys, that it's quality of music that gets them there as opposed to who they know, or is it kind of like, because let's be real, there's people on the radio these days, and the pop singers and whatever that are on there that somebody's writing the song for them, and they had the look, and somebody went, yeah, okay, you sound good enough, that kind of thing.
Right.
So I'm just curious, and the only reason I'm asking this question is because I was binge watching some garbage on Netflix not long ago, probably a couple months ago, and I came across some TV show that was all about like Shaq. And
he's a DJ now.
Shaq decided that he was a DJ. He was like I forget what he was called.
Diesel.
Yeah, DJ Diesel. Yeah. And he decided he was a DJ. And like in this one episode, he went from like his first DJ gig was down in like Ibiza or something, and it was like 100,000 people. And I'm like, why is that his first gig? Just because he's Shaq, obviously. Right. But that it just, I don't know. I guess that bothered me a little bit.
I guess it'd be the same if he was in a band. I'd go and watch Shaq playing the guitar.
Yeah, I guess, but. I guess, but I guess I want to know how that translates to to your world. I mean, you're not Shaq, so are you? No. I mean, is there this huge disparity of?
I think it's a mix.
Yeah,
I think it's a real mix. I mean, of course you have people that are influencers that just get up there and immediately play for a ton of people. You know,
Yeah.
people were giving like Paris Hilton a hard time about DJing a while back, and like the cables weren't plugged in or something like that. It's like,
God.
oh
Yeah,
man,
yeah. Oh, God.
wow. But no, I mean that's obviously that's an extreme situation where
Yeah.
somebody's just a celebrity and they just said, hey, go on stage and just twist knobs and make it look like you're
Drove
DJing,
me
and
nuts.
they didn't even get the primer of actually teaching her how to like do the basics.
Yeah,
You know.
this actually kind of goes right into a question I wanted to ask you, which is in terms of the sort of camaraderie amongst DJs and the support out there amongst DJs. What's that like? Do you find it's good?
You know, there's definitely a couple distinct, types of DJs out there.
Right.
You have like wedding event corporate DJs. You have your local bar DJs.
Yeah.
You have your big club and festival DJs, and there's some bleed between all of those, of course. Some people that do this as well too. I do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
I like paying the bills.
Sure.
I like being artistic. I like doing the creative stuff, but I also like doing that. So I do a mix.
I get it. Me too. But with the band. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, I guess it's just when it comes to that. I'm sorry. What was the question again? The initial question?
I'm curious
I'm
about
going off track there.
What it's like in terms of people supporting each other,
Supporting
and
each other, yes,
camaraderie.
yeah, camaraderie. Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah. So, camaraderie in like the bar scene. It's
Yeah.
like, no, because everyone's against each other. Everybody wants
Okay.
that gig. I want that gig. I want that Friday night. I want that Saturday night.
Yeah.
Weddings, corporate. It's like one company against another company. Whereas so I make house music, and house music scene and a lot of the electronic music scenes is totally different because those are creative people
Yeah.
doing that. And that's where I thrive as well too. And that's what I saw when I first got into it. Playing in bands for 15 plus years. I had that image of DJs as well too. It's like this whole different thing. It's like snooty or it's just button pushing or whatever. I don't know what I thought. I can't even but
Sure, just didn't know.
I just didn't know. I just didn't
Yeah.
know. But I almost immediately I realized that these people making all this original house music, those DJs at those events, they're DJs, but they're also producing the music. These are creative people.
Sure.
So they want to play their new music. They want to play their friends' music. That's one cool thing about DJing is I can play my friend's song. He just released a new song. Drop it in. Make the club dance. That's great, right?
Yeah.
It's a great way to support your friends, and it's a great way to to nurture the community. And that's sort of what happens on the bigger side of the DJs as well too. Is that now, if you're it's like kind of working your way up there. If you're working your way up, maybe like Tiesto plays my song or something like that, some big DJ. All of a sudden, now people want to know whose song that is, and it's me. And then maybe then I'm, now I'm on that. I'm being played on that stage.
Yeah.
So it kind of improves the networking there.
Sure.
Something like so. That's kind of what.
Have you ever put on? I know that when we were aspiring DJs in our early 20s, and I was really on the periphery of that,
Yeah.
but I had a couple of friends who, really done well with it. We were all putting on our own nights. So do you ever put nights on? Have you ever done that?
That's actually how I got into DJing in the first place. So,
Okay.
so I had a band called My Electric Heart, and I played guitar for My Electric Heart.
Yeah.
And then at some point, we wanted to go on tour, and our drummer couldn't do it.
Right.
So we're like, well, how can we do this? Well, we were a three-piece band, guitar, drums, singer, and we did everything else was on tracks.
Yeah. And that's it's kind of like an electro pop kind of.
Yeah,
like
electro pop
indie.
kind of thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
pop
yeah.
band. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It's good
and-
stuff. I listened to some of it earlier.
Thank
Cool.
you. I appreciate that. So we were trying to figure out how we can do this tour with just the two of us. So I'm like, well, maybe I'll buy a DJ setup. I'll do like a live DJ thing and play guitar at the same time. And that's how that developed. So
Right.
fast forward from that, I got back from this tour. I have this DJ gear. I'm like, well, what can I do? I'm like, well, I want to support local music. My band's just like not playing every weekend. So how can I do something to support the community? So I started a night called Bump, and we did that. I think starting 16, 17. We did it for a few years.
Where was it? So excuse
We
me.
did a few different places. We did it at O'Malley's in Margate.
All right.
We did it up at Vintage Tap when Vintage Tap was still in
Del
Del
Rey.
Rey.
Yeah.
We did it at Killy Idol in South Beach.
Right.
And we did it at Creepy Tiki.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
So it went around. So I was DJing, and then I
Yeah.
booked bands, and I booked live artists.
Right.
So I
neat.
put on that event, But that wasn't an electronic event, but that's what got me into it, was
Yeah.
supporting the bands. And I'm like, well, I want to be the DJ too. So,
Yeah. Cool. And just found yourself making house music. That's super cool.
yeah, and then I ended up there, yeah.
All right. So I'm thinking of adding this question to asking everyone it, because I just think I might get some funny answers for it. But
Sure.
what's the weirdest thing that's ever happened to you at a gig? Can you
Man.
think of anything? Maybe I should have primed you with this.
Man, I
before
gotta. That's one I gotta think about. Weirdest thing, man. There's so many weird things that happen. I mean, anywhere you play.
Yeah. I'll give you some examples of stuff that's happened to me. About a year ago, a seagull landed on my head.
While playing?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Stuff like that. There's a million weird things have happened to me. I feel like I've played so many gigs that anything that could happen to you at a gig at this point has happened to me at a gig. So I don't know. Okay, so apparently,
I'll have to think about it.
I have to ask that question a day before.
In advance.
Yeah.
I can think of a couple things, but they're mean. I don't want to call anybody out, So let me think about it.
So and something that we kind of touched on, but we didn't really get into is I know that we were sort of talking about this earlier in the week about people's sort of opinions of DJs of not being musicians, and that really not being the truth whatsoever. And I wondered, could you speak to that just on that subject? Yeah.
So, I mean, from the outside, it sort of looks like, oh, this guy's just up here just selecting songs, just slamming them in and just playing music for everybody, right? But I mean, the art of DJing goes so much deeper than that. It's not just the technique; it's the whole process of it is just as challenging as playing in a band, if not more challenging.
For sure.
Because, I mean, so it's sort of like you can liken it to. You ever play poker?
Yeah.
Right? You can learn in like 5 or 10 minutes, right? You can play the game, and you might win. You might win a lot.
Yeah.
But if you want to win consistently, that's where that little extra bit of skill and focus and effort goes into play.
And experience.
Experience, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that's the difference is that, anybody can DJ. You can get up and going and do it, within, 5 or 10 minutes, get the basics. But choosing the right songs at the right moments, mixing them in and out at the right moments is what gets the room moving.
Yeah.
Knowing how to read the room as well too, and look at those people and say, well, how can I get these people to dance right now?
I've been out plenty of times with my wife where we're having a good time dancing, and then all of a sudden a song comes on and the entire dance floor just clears out, and I'm like, what was this guy thinking?
So that's it.
It's easily done too. You
Yeah.
can mess it up like that. I mean, I've done it. I was never a very, very good DJ. I tried, but it just wasn't for me. But I had some friends who just always nail it, and it's a different kind of awareness, of musical awareness, a different kind of musical understanding.
Yeah.
Because you're playing off people's sort of nostalgia, people's recognition. That's really important, and then also just whatever the vibe is in the room, supporting that vibe, not just completely changing it. You know?
And if you're playing in between other DJs, also, what did this guy play? What time of day is it even? Like, if you're playing a sunset set, you wouldn't necessarily play what you'd play as the opening set as well, too. A lot of new DJs will come in and just go full on festival, like, banger, crazy,
it's always
EDM,
awkward,
and you can't do that. You gotta ease it, treat it like a date, just let's go maybe get a coffee first, then we'll talk about grabbing a bite to eat,
Yeah, there you go. And I think the other thing that we were talking about before we started recording was this sort of huge mixture and disparity between the amount of stuff people are doing on stage, between, like you were saying, coming in between two DJs and plugging in a USB and just using the CDJs to like full on like live sets with samplers and keyboards and laptops set up. There's a huge range of what people could be doing up there, and I think that that if anyone's listening to this who isn't really aware of the world and thinks that it's just pressing go, it's not that.
No, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, most of the people that are DJs, that are out there, they're making music as well too. They're not just and making electronic music is just as challenging as making rock and roll or any kind of music. It requires a different set of skills.
It does. It actually requires you to be something of a producer / mastering engineer. And actually, that was something that I was going to be that I wanted to ask you about is, in terms of like mastering your tracks to make them sound the best, like through the PA, is that something that you do yourself, or have you sent stuff out to be mastered?
In the beginning, I was like, I can self-master all this stuff, sure, you know.
This is why I wanted to ask you, because I'm okay at mastering, but like in that situation, if you wanted to bang every time, I just wondered if you were sending it out.
Just like if you over-listen to anything, your ears can get fatigued. So if you've listened to that track for 30, 40 plus hours, over and over and over again, you get kind of numb to it. You know, you can set it down and listen to it in a week, and then you'll be fresh again.
Yeah.
But I do all my own. Usually do all my own mixing. But in the beginning, I did the mastering. I'm like, that's good enough. But then I started playing those songs next to other really, really well produced and mastered tracks. I'm like, I gotta bring in some help on this. You know?
Right, yeah.
My ears just aren't good enough. My room isn't good enough. You know, I have a
Yeah.
little home studio, but it's not. You know.
Oh, I do. I
Sure.
know exactly.
Yeah.
It's fine for creating, but as far as that extra 5% that it makes the song really juicy and just really, really knock.
Yeah.
I can't dial that in. My hearing's just okay too.
That's when I send it to my brother because he's a
Yeah.
mastering engineer.
Oh, there you go.
He can do that part. Yeah. Between the two of us, we can
Right,
get
yeah.
it done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was wondering, also, with the creative process, were you recording your bands prior to this? Like, were you involved
No,
in
not
that?
really. I mean, I certainly had a hand in the creative process, but most of the bands I usually went to a studio. I kind of felt like I didn't want to be on that side of it. I don't know why. I resisted for so long. I wish I hadn't
Right.
resisted. I wish I had learned.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Many
many
years
years of-
now, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So hindsight, right? Hindsight's 20/20.
That's it.
I wish I had learned early on. But yeah.
Have you ever been on the side of things, the kind of teaching or sort of community outreach side of music at all? You ever done anything like that?
Teaching?
Yeah.
I haven't taught music. You know, people always ask me that. And,
Right.
because I mentioned I taught English in Japan and all that
Yeah,
stuff as well
yeah.
too. Oh, will you teach music? No.
Yeah.
As far as community outreach, I mean, I'll do charity events from time to time, stuff
Yeah,
like that as
right,
well
yeah,
too.
right on. Yeah.
I always want to support my fellow musicians as well to get them gigs, and that's a lot of the camaraderie that you have in the house music world is the same as the band world. Helping your friends get those gigs is super important. We all
Yeah,
have to
for
support
sure.
each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes all you need is that introduction.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, you've brought a whole ton of your original tunes, and you're going to do a mix for us, I think, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's do it.
Okay.
Cool.
All doctors to the ER. Check your pulse. Check your pulse. Check your pulse.
Down in Bermuda. It's the hula. I like the way they move. Check my barracuda. Down in Bermuda. Let's go. Let's go hula.
Shake that caboose, shake that caboose. Boost, 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 shake. Sipping on some goose.
Let's get it loose, loose caboose.
Rear of the train, sipping on champagne.
Let's get loose,
Loose caboose. Goose, 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 goose,
561 Music is brought to you by Handlebars Bar and Grill. It's a biker bar in Tequesta, and if you don't know where Tequesta is, it's just a little town right north of Jupiter, down here in sunny South Florida. And if you head up US 1 out of Jupiter, you'll see it on your right. It's a little yellow building, and there's almost always a ton of bikes outside it. It's a biker bar. It's a lot of fun in there. We have Bernsey doing the food. He's a real character. You got to go in there, if not just to meet Bernsey. And it's got great beers on tap. And we do a bike night every second Thursday of the month, and that's from 6 to 9. And then on the fourth Sunday of every month, it was this Sunday that just passed, and we had a really good time. We do an open jam / open mic, and that's just, anyone who wants to come, you can come and jam with me. The reason I'm involved in the place is my father-in-law, Peter, he reopened the place. It was called Judy's before, and it kind of part of the furniture up in Jupiter Tequesta. It's been there for years and years, and it was just falling a little bit into disrepair. The guy who was running it, Victor, had been running it for a really long time, and I guess he was kind of done with it, wanted to retire. So Peter took it over, and we cleaned it up, and we sorted the place out, and gave it a fresh lick of paint, and just basically renovated it, and it's up and running, and it's a real good time over there. You should come check it out. And that's Handlebars. Please come and visit us. We're open every day of the week, and it's a good time.
Our second sponsor is Backsaver LLC, and Backsaver LLC is a chiropractic care and therapy center here in West Palm Beach. Dr. Christopher White can take care of you if you come in there. You have any kind of spinal issues or back problems. Primarily, they do slip and falls and car accidents and personal injury type cases. They'll hook you up. They'll get you set up on a regiment. Taking care of you using all the different techniques and latest technologies and latest machines and things, and they'll get you all fixed up. They are a sponsor of the podcast, and they are a sponsor of the 561 Music Festival for this Saturday. So we're very appreciative. So definitely give them a shout, give them a call. BacksaverLLC.com, and Backsaver LLC is the name of the company.
Thanks, Backsaver. Thanks
Absolutely.
for sponsoring our festival. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the final sponsor we have is Oasis Root Kava Bar. Now, this place is in Jupiter on Indiantown Rd in Seagrave Square. It's a really, really cool spot. So there's quite a lot of different types of Kava bar, and in Florida, the whole scene of it is exploding. There's all these different sort of types of them. You get ones that are like nightclubs and stuff. This one is kind of like a cafe. It's real chill. Just has one type of kava, really good high quality kava that he gets shipped in from the West Coast, and it's really it's like the highest quality you can find. And he just has one, so he can keep the quality consistent. And he gets ground himself. And also, they also have the kratom there, but he does it very simply. He has one type, and it's good fun. I think what I like about it is that there's not like really loud music playing, and it's kind of bright and breezy in there. It's not kind of dark and with sort of like black lights on and stuff like that. It's super chill. So if you're looking for somewhere that's like a bar but no one is drunk, should come and check out Oasis Root. All right, yeah, thanks so much, Oasis Root, for sponsoring this. We really appreciate your support. Okay, so that was pretty badass, Mike. I love that mix there.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about some of these tunes?
Yeah, so when I'm producing house music, I'm producing under the name Shiro Tiger.
Yeah.
Shiro means white in Japanese, so
Okay.
white tiger. Yeah. Cool. And all the songs on there were originals, and I mixed them all together there for you, fresh
Yeah,
out
neat.
the blender.
Very nice.
Yeah.
it was badass.
Yeah.
So I think you actually managed to come up with a most interesting thing that's happened to you at a gig, didn't you?
Oh yeah. So I had a pop punk kind of band a ways back, and on one of our tours we were trying to fill in some dates, and we ended up with some strip club dates.
Right.
So imagine just like, they had no idea what they booked. They thought they booked like, Motley Crue or something like that. And we actually had a Motley Crue cover in there.
Okay.
We threw that in there, but it's just imagine just a whole club of strippers twerking naked to fast punk rock music. They just couldn't keep it was the most hilarious thing I've ever seen.
You know, I can't
And you
imagine.
just look around, just like, what is going on here? What are we doing?
I've never heard of a strip club with live music. That's amazing.
Yeah, well, maybe that was the first night. I don't know. We just loaded the drums
first
in. We
and
started
last.
making noise. You
We
know.
gotta get
That's great.
Killbillies into the strip club circuit.
We would just be we are like the worst possible music for that because it's the same
Which is-
thing.
That's what I
We're
thought.
like
Too
doom-gat,
fast.
doom-gat, doom-gat,
Which is
doom-gat.
why it would be hilarious, so we have to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Should have told the girls to go like halftime. Maybe go halftime instead of trying to like
Yeah,
that's my
exactly.
work move.
Don't follow the banjo. yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. Don't follow,
no.
don't follow the snare drum or anything like that. You know. So. Yeah.
Well, we've
was fun.
taken some pictures of some of your gear. The first thing is the equipment you use to DJ. Now, I know to you it's very sort of commonplace, but could you, for those who aren't that familiar with it, could you explain a little bit about what's going on there?
Sure. It's upside down. Other than that,
That's what makes it cool.
That's what makes it cool, right? Yeah, I do. I only DJ upside down. No, I'm just kidding. So that's a Pioneer DDJ 1000.
Yeah.
And it's a far from vintage. Basically, I mean that has full size jog wheels like you would have on like a CDJ, so it feels kind of similar to a club setup. But I
Yeah.
can use it with my laptop basically. So for
Yeah,
me,
got it.
it's all about consistency. Whether I'm playing guitar or whether I'm DJing, I want it to be the same everywhere. So I've
Yeah,
gone to
man.
great lengths with my guitar rig to make sure that everything is like rock solid and sounds the same in every room.
Okay.
The amp that I had for Octogato is an amp I could rent anywhere in the world. Like I want to make sure that I can duplicate this everywhere.
That's smart.
And the same thing with the Pioneer stuff is that Pioneer's gone to great lengths to make everything very uniform.
Yeah.
So I know that if I play that regularly and then I go to the club and I play on their current like flagship players, CDJ 3000s, it's very similar. If I play one of their mini controllers, I want something I can just throw in a backpack, I can do that as well too. So
Yeah, cool.
It just allows me to do what I do and be comfortable with it. That's what's most important. It's not having like tons of fancy stuff. It's just feeling comfortable.
Yeah, it was rad. I noticed you tapping at one thing. Was that like to trigger like a delay thing at the end of the?
Yeah, I mean, there's some effects in there as well too. Most, I'll mess around with some echo, or there's one effect that I love. It's called Spiral,
Right.
and what it does is as it repeats, it'll bend the pitch up or down. So if you
Okay.
play with the rate,
Yeah.
like you want on a delay pedal, you know how like it'll make the pitch bend up and down.
Yeah, yeah.
You can do that with DJ gear. It's like kind of
Okay,
a
yeah.
creative way to segue between
Is
tracks.
that kind of what you did at the end there? Or is
Yeah,
it-
where to fade it out. Yeah, it works
Yeah.
like an echo pedal. If you turn it down and mess with the knobs,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And
That's neat.
so, in a traditional setup or in a traditional,
Yeah.
when you're mixing traditionally, I guess, or whatever, I imagine that those discs would work much like an old-fashioned turntable,
Yeah.
mix and scratch and stuff. But
Yeah.
but what were you? Because I noticed you were spinning the one on the left quite a bit. Every now and then you
Yeah,
do it.
for sure.
What is that?
That's
Selecting
just to
things?
Speed it
or-
up. and-
No, it works like vinyl would. It's basically it's digitally controlling vinyl in quotation
Oh, so
marks.
you are like basically backing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like on the far left and
wow.
far right there, you can see the little slider there. So that's
Yeah.
like the pitch bend knob, just like you'd have on a record player.
Yeah.
And that controls how fast or how slow it's, again quotation marks, rotating. So you would adjust the speed there, and then the actual wheel itself. If you touch the side, you can speed up or slow down the track as it's playing.
Yeah,
So it works like if you were
that's-
spinning a record faster or
Gotcha,
slower.
gotcha. So
Yeah,
okay, so it does work basically.
It's
like a
exactly the
turntable.
same, basically.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm not a
that's-
scratchy DJ. That's why I didn't do any scratchy
No,
stuff.
I was
Yeah,
just
but
curious.
you could.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It works like
amazing.
that where you touch the top and it would be, scratch,
Yeah.
scratchy.
That's pretty
But
wild.
House music is a little weird to scratch. Or at least for me it is.
Yeah, you know what, man? I Ben touched on it earlier. Anybody who says that you guys aren't real musicians is just a flat out idiot. Because I'm looking at that thing, and that's like another language. Like, holy crap! There's a lot of buttons and things on
Yeah.
there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why, Mike, you were just like, I don't know if anyone cares about looking at this. But I think you'd be surprised at how many people just have no idea about it. you
Right,
know?
yeah.
Look, I
They're
play a
in
bass guitar. There's only 4 strings. Okay? So at the end of the day, this is way cooler.
Yeah, the next thing we got, next picture we've got is your amazing guitar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, could you tell us a little bit about this, baby?
Sure.
she's
So,
brilliant.
one of the bands I was into in my formative days was Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
Particularly Wes Borland, their guitar player. They certainly have a reputation for being, a little on the cheesy side, and they
Sure.
are. And I think they're comfortable with that as well too.
I think their latest iteration is pretty hilarious,
Yeah,
actually. I'll
yeah.
give them that one.
Yeah. But one of my all-time most important shows to me was I saw Limp Bizkit play at I can't remember the name of the place. What is it? place that's no longer there in Fort Lauderdale. This was right when they were just getting started. They were out of Jacksonville. Those guys,
right.
So they played for maybe 400 people or something. They played with Seven Dust and they played with Clutch. Anyway, so I going to that show was like one of the first shows I ever drove myself to.
Yeah.
As a young adult, and
You're like 17, 18.
yeah, something like that, and I was just blown away. I mean, it was such an amazing show, and that's a powerhouse like set. Clutch, Seven Dust, and Limp Bizkit in like a 400 or 500 cap club. I mean, that's
When I was 16, 17,
yeah.
I'm not ashamed to admit I was getting down to some Limp Bizkit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely, I was.
I embraced the cheese. But what I liked most about the band was Wes Borland. So.
Yeah.
In 2008, I think Yamaha offered to make him a signature model. That was also around the time he left Limp Bizkit. So they made this guitar for a couple of years for him, and basically he wanted to go with Yamaha because even like I had Ibanez deal, he was like on the 7 strings and all that. I bought a 7-string because of that guy too,
That's awesome.
But I always just found him such a creative player, and then when I found out they were releasing a guitar for him, even though he wasn't in the band anymore, I was like, man, I got to get one of those. And I looked and looked and looked for years, could never find one.
I saw him playing the weirdest guitar in that latest run of gigs they did. I think I had like 4 strings or something.
Yeah. Was like this year or last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, a PRS guitar.
I think so.
Yeah, they made him a custom 4-string. It's like a baritone, not a baritone. It's like a 4-string weird baritone guitar. He had one of those too back in the day, but they made him one with a tremolo. Such a cool. I
Just
love
basically for doing like power chords and like bends. Yeah. That's dope.
Well, I love this because I can play that kind of music on it. But yeah, they made it. There's only like a few hundred of them out there.
Yeah.
I bought a white one as well too. When I was out in LA and I saw one on Reverb.com and I'm like,
cool.
I'm gonna send this guy a message. I'm in LA. I'm gonna talk to this guy.
Yeah.
And he met me and I was like, I can't not buy this guitar. It's way too much money. This was the middle of the pandemic. I hadn't worked for like 5 months. I was just like, take my savings.
That actually brings me real quick to a question that I hadn't asked and I'm curious about, which is, have you done much stuff out of state with the DJing?
Not as much as I'd like. I have played in Japan as well too.
Oh wow, yeah, that's cool.
That's I always milking that connection.
I DJ'd in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Oh my God, I DJ.
My God.
Hang on. I'm just kidding. I've never been to Japan.
I can claim that one.
I DJ'd at a Japanese restaurant. Does that count?
We were trying to seem cool to the people who the record label,
Yeah.
and they were like, "What can we do that's different?" And it's like, "Oh, Ben can kind of DJ,"
Yeah.
so they had me DJ a night.
That's awesome.
Yeah, totally. All right, yeah. So then the third thing is this really cool pedal.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about this bad boy?
Yes. Speaking of Japan, that one is from my good buddies at Vero City Pedals. They
Right.
make awesome stuff. I wish we had a U.S. distributor, but maybe somebody listening would be interested in doing that. Basically, this pedal was okay. So I mentioned earlier, there's my buddy Hiroshi who introduced me to all my booking connections in Tokyo.
Yeah.
This is his company.
Okay.
With a partner. And so we've kept in touch, ever since I lived out there, which was like 2006, 2007 was it when I was out there.
Yeah.
Anyway, fast forward to Octogato, I was out there and he had this new pedal company and he's like, hey, you want to try a few things out? I went to his little home studio, which is amazing, by the way. He has
Right.
a shoebox Tokyo apartment with a vocal booth in it. It's insane.
That's awesome.
And he makes insane pedals
That's
like
amazing.
this. This one is a dual overdrive pedal. The right side is sort of based on an OCD version 3.
Okay.
For the nerds out there.
Yeah, cool.
V3 with a low cut and a couple other tweaks to the circuit, and then the left side is like kind of like a Marshall GTM 45 kind of vibe.
Okay.
So I made this for Octogato. Like I always played Fender amps with like a ton of reverb, but I always needed some grit over the top of that. So that's like kind of on all the time, at least for Octogato type sound. And then the right side was my solo boost.
Yeah, I'm dying for a pedal that has a couple of different overdrives on it, and I'm really curious to see what that sounds.
Yeah.
Well, I can remember. I remember seeing you live. It was awesome. Yeah. Is that the
You're
pedal
welcome to
you
plug it in if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it later.
It is in studio.
All right. So the last thing we do on this podcast is we talk about what you've got coming up.
Yeah.
So have you got any shows in the pipes?
Yeah, always shows. I probably have to look in my brain here, which is my phone, to
Yeah.
know what they are. I'm trying to think of what's coming up that's particularly exciting. Oh, let's talk about my new residency. My new residency is at a place called La Playa Day Club.
Right.
And that's on Fort Lauderdale Beach,
Yep.
just south of Las Olas, right where the road kind of, I don't know, V's over there, right by the beach.
Okay.
If you've heard of Tortuga Fest, it's right across from where they have that every year.
Right.
Awesome.
Beautiful, beautiful scenery. I mean, this is one of the things I love about DJing. There's no punk bar with a beach view.
Yeah, totally.
And I am you know, I have a soft spot for beach views. And
No, I
waves,
get it.
You know, Hawaiian shirts and anything
Yeah.
beachy. You know, even though I burn immediately going out into the sun. You know, I like to enjoy the beach from like from a roof or like a cabana vibe. You know?
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right,
I
Like
hear
a
you.
frozen drink. Like that's my beach vibe. But yeah,
Nothing
I'm
wrong with
there.
that.
What's that?
Nothing wrong with that.
No. But yeah, I'm out there Saturdays, and it is all house music as well too on the weekend. We've been bringing in some really, really great national talent. I played with Todd Terry, who's like a really notable, New York house music legend, DJ producer. And then the week after that, I was able to open for it was Anthony Atala, and who else do we have on that? Oh my God, I'm blanking out right now. Anyway, but yeah, great spot. Love it.
Is that something that are you involved in? Who gets booked on that at all? Like, you involved with the promotion of what?
I've worked with the marketing team on a lot of different events. I'm not a part of the marketing team, but
Right.
we've known each other for a while. Actually, they were very it's called Electric Love Productions. They do a lot of stuff there, and
Yeah.
I actually got linked up with them. They used to run a producer meetup out of a club called Cash Only in Fort Lauderdale.
Right.
That's another one that closed. Unfortunately, that was a pandemic casualty. But what they did when they had that, they were the marketing team, and they also were trying to bring in new talent to the club. So they had this, bi-weekly producer meetup, and that's
Yeah.
how I got linked in with a lot of the house music people that I know now. So really grateful for them.
Yeah,
for doing
cool.
that. Yeah.
Fantastic. So what's Killbilly's got going on? Let's take a look.
Yeah.
We always do this. Oh, you know what?
Friday we're playing at Conky Joe's.
Yeah, that's right.
Conky Joe's.
Conky. I don't know.
Joe's.
I say conk. I think I say conkies.
You say
Do you say
conkies?
conk or conch?
Conk?
Okay, let's go with conk.
Conky
Conky
Joe's.
Joe's.
Just the
And
guy with the
that's
Hawaiian
in,
shirt.
that's in
Jensen Beach.
Jensen Beach. Okay.
Yeah, and it's a cool spot. We're playing there from 8 to 11, and they've just built a new stage outside. So
Nice.
It's on their new stage, which apparently is really awesome. We haven't played there since it's been built, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
And anyone who listens to the podcast and comes to watch us play, if you've seen any promotion about us playing at Pirates Cove on April 1st, we are not. We are at Conky Joe's, just in case that you hear this and you were confused about that, because the gig got changed about a couple of weeks ago.
Yep. So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
And then Saturday all day 561 Music Festival. If you're not there, you're dead.
square.
You're dead to me.
No, it's going to be a lot of fun. You should definitely come. It's 12 until about 11:30, and then afterwards we're doing a after party at Propaganda, and that goes until Matt tells everyone to leave, which
wee
could be
hours of the
any
morning.
time in the morning. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so
And that's
that'd be great. Yeah.
Marlon's going to be
Yeah, Marlon's spinning at the after party.
Yep.
And we said who's playing it the festival at the top of the show, but maybe we could reiterate it.
Sure.
We've got
I think Marlon has some music coming out, by the way.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. I believe the tune is called "Fuck Your Crew."
Is it?
And it is a jam.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
there is a ton of music that's been released like in the last say 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From artists that are going to be playing at this festival on Saturday.
Yeah.
I mean, Sierra Lane's got a new song.
Yeah.
It's great.
I think Joey Caldereo just released something.
Yeah.
You're saying Marlon's going to be releasing something.
Yeah,
He's going
The
to be at
Shake.
the party. The Shake just released a whole album.
Yeah. Sandman Sleep.
Sandman Sleeps just released an album, and
Yeah.
Sons of a Tradesman just released an album.
Yeah, it's crazy, and we're not far off the back of No Name releasing that record either.
There's a lot of new music that just came out recently, and
Yep.
so this is good for these bands.
Yeah, and so just in case you skip to the end of the podcast, on the festival we have Spread the Dub, Sierra Lane, Sons of a Tradesman, No Name Scar Band, Bryce Allen Band, Victoria Lee, Joe Caldereo, BFD, which is Butch and the Fat Dubes, The Shake, Jake Walden Band, Sandman Sleeps, Fall Victim, Jacob Tacos, Josh Miles, Dominic Delaney, me, Alyssa Kuhn, Fox Maple, and Paper Carcass. And it is from midday to 11 p.m. and you can get the tickets online, or you can just show up. And even if you don't have cash, there's a cash machine right there.
There's an ATM
so
there,
you're good. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're good to go. And then
Sunday we are at.
That's right.
Yeah, we're at the Gardens Green Market at 9 a.m.
Yeah, so someone I don't know who booked us a gig at 9 a.m. the day after we put on a festival.
It's going to be rough.
In all fairness, the other someone at this table booked us a gig the Friday night prior in Jensen Beach. So,
Yeah, so- all right.
6 of one, half a dozen of
Okay.
another. All right?
I'll take
Busy weekend.
Let's not point fingers here.
I literally did point a finger. That's pretty
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
No, you're right. It's fair enough.
Take Monday off, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Recharge day for sure.
We are actually filming this at my weekday job, so he'll not now know if I take a sickie.
Oh man, you really boxed in. You really boxed
I
in.
know,
here.
yeah, I
Okay,
just got to do it.
Sleep on Tuesday, I guess. Right there.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's all good. Come and hang out with us at the festival. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And thank you so much, Mike, for coming on
thank
the
you guys.
show.
And thank you for your support. In 561 and everywhere. We need people supporting local music, putting it out there, doing what you guys do. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
Peace.
Take a better scene. It's what we're doing. Come and check it